It's funny what'll remind me of a video idea I've long intended to produce. Seems to me since about the Cretaceous I've intended to rant about this topic, but it wasn't until I was subjected to a fanatically fucktarded video this past week that I actually remembered to do so. And its mouthpiece, of all people, was Eminem. Now, I know what you're saying. Who's that gas station attendant and why is he named after a candy confection? But in order to elucidate that topic, I'd first have to explain the late 90s, and Kevin Bacon couldn't make a flowchart that fucking big. Suffice to say, it was a wild time. We're still sort of stuck in it. Rap is to music what Etch-a-Sketch is to art, and if you replace the R with a U, Eminem was one hell of a fucking artist. Hell, I've dropped better bars than Eminem's last 8 albums, and I'm not even a fucking rapper. Though if these remarks are anything to go by, good albums aren't the only thing on Eminem that still hasn't dropped.
When I start talking about Trump, I get too flustered in my head, and the shit that I want to say, there's too many things I want to say at once. So sometimes I start talking and I'm not able to convey the message the right way because I just get flustered and frustrated. Watching him play to his base that thinks that he cares about them, and it's actually the people that he cares about the fucking least. If you're talking about his core being, a majority white middle class, what I don't understand is how in the fuck do you feel like you relate to a billionaire who has never known struggle his entire fucking life?
I don't know that a more prominent, paradigmatic example of confession through projection has ever been burned to a piece of film. Let me break down precisely what's at kid in play here. Call it what you want. Identity politics, wokeness, hell, call it an egg salad sandwich for all the fucking me. It's all the same in practice. By corralling disparate identitarian groups into their own aberrant fiefdoms and prescribing each a Democratic voter registration card to cure maladies both real and imagined, the ideological left have gradually and by degrees caused entire generations, from geriatrics to pediatrics, to purposely conflate politics with personal identity. You're not an individual, atomized or otherwise, possessing opinions in politics which adapt to ever-altering circumstances, politics which, in a mature individual, should steadily evolve over time. You're an ism, you're an ist, a bundle of bullshit pronouns, an initial on the increasingly convoluted Easter Skittles flag, and your politics are compulsory and ineffable in relation to such. In an age where the leftist grip on information, entertainment, and academia is eroding before our bleary eyes, it's arguably the lone unqualified collectivist victory of the past 25 fucking years. So successful, in fact, that the net result has been all but invariable. Any impugning of your politics is now interpreted as an assault on your very identity. Eminem can't organize his ideas because when another person lauds or even cursorily defends Trump, it's not his ideas which are being assailed, it's his entire fucking identity. His thoughts aren't ordered because they do not stem from a sincere intellectual reaction, but a fucking reflexive one. It's not a hypothesis in search of evidence, it's a conclusion in search of a rationale. Mankind has ever arrayed and organized himself around symbols, whether the flag of a fatherland, the seal of the Kiwanis Club, or the cross of Christ. And it's only by comprehending this fact that you can appropriately interpret the religious fervor with which the alleged agnostics and atheists of the left array around a pastel fagaloon flag. Socialism and its ideological antecedents was a religious faith from the outset, from the days of Hegel to the halcyon 60s and Paulo Freire's Marxist interjections into the South American church, one which in the form of Pope Francis now dominates the global Catholic Church itself. Watch the recent Netflix film, The Two Popes, starring Sir Anthony Hopkins, during which the camera pans over a copy of Paulo Freire's Marxist text, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, one of the primary sources Pope Francis cited as fucking formative in his transmutation into the all-powerful pontiff. Communism began as a faith, which means it ultimately must supplant any competing one, which is why from the Pinko Pope to the angelically ordained dictators of North Korea, communism's earthly architects must invariably don a perversion of holy raiment. This is why so-called right-wing collectivism cannot hope to overcome the commie catechism. By adopting the philosophy which formed it, you've already scheduled your own subsummation. The Gnostic religion of Marxism, after all, must remain immutable. immutable. One need only recall relatively recent events for confirmation of this fact. You think it was an accident Obama was so often photographed with a halo of backlighting blooming around his fucking peanut head that his most effective campaign poster of 2008 wasn't the generic blue bumper sticker with his name perched over Bad Touch Biden's, but an independently produced painting of his formerly Marxist mug, flanked by the word fucking hope, eyes eternally upward as if rehearsing for his own divine transfiguration. And this is why the Paleolithic press's ongoing narrative of Cult 45 is such a weapons-grade tell. In case the Roman columns at his inauguration or promises to change the weather weren't a tip-off for you fuckheads, Obama was very much the left's secular messiah, making Trump, his political and physical fucking film negative, the outright Antichrist, and therefore his voters by extension a cult. No matter that even Michael Moore could correctly identify the motives of most MAGA supporters all the way back in '16.
Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history.
Winner, winner, about 18 chicken dinners. See, MAGA not only isn't a cult of personality, it's arguably the antithesis. See, it's not about who his supporters love, it's about who the hell hates him, because they're all too chronically aware that the establishment hate them infinitely more. See, the rhinos in the establishment are a German trench, making Trump a goddamn stick grenade. Whether he likes any of them or not is ultimately immaterial. He's hilarious, and they hate him. Ergo, he can't be all but fucking bad. Congrats, Tom Hanks. You cracked the fucking Da Vinci Code. See, the collectivists cannot conceive of a politician who belongs to their individual identitarian subsect harboring anything other than their very best intentions. Even as Democrats already run damn near every major metropolitan region in this country, and yet somehow, despite this heartwarming affection for their overwhelmingly leftist electorate, all of these, without exception, continue to abound in crime, corruption, crackheads, and hobos. And that's just when Hunter's in town. See, evidence is optional, to be adopted, molded, suppressed, or discarded. For all of the above, in order to be properly ingested, must first get the ball past every man's mental goalie, his ego. And here I thought to have a personality disorder, you had to have a personality. These aren't political groups. These are sets, which I suppose makes Biden a sex offender. I'm Pope Fisticus Emeritus the 11th, Godfuckius Speedius.
And the libs love him. I know you libs love him. You think he's the Messiah. I think he is the Messiah. You know why? Because the night he got elected, I was pointing at my TV going, Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!